3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into. Start right, good line, good view. It drew, shooter McGavin. 2 thumbs up.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Swannies. The holiday season is come and gone, and you didn't get any Swannies, or perhaps you got some Swannies, and you just want to get some more Swannies. Good thing you're listening to this episode, because if you go over to swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25, you can get 25% off your order. Either stock up on some stuff that you might have missed, or get a second piece of something that you like that you want to wear every day, because you can wear it from the office to the golf course, to the golf course to the office. Perfect gear. Swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25.
Was it just you trying to say, okay, you know what, maybe we want to do something different in golf? And
yeah, I think so. It was like COVID, right? And we were kind of in that point where we couldn't golf much, and the idea was just to kind of continue talking to people about golf. So I feel like I'm a pretty sociable guy, and I feel like we were missing like the ability to connect with new people and talk about golf. And so the podcast naturally just came from that. We thought, like, why don't we like try and, chat with different people and keep it to just anything. Like, we don't want to talk about like just the PGA Tour or what's going on with like PGA Tour versus Live and all that stuff. Nobody care. Like, people care about that stuff, but there's so many like pods or like networks covering that stuff already, right? So we kind of like the idea of just chatting with like somebody like yourself or a brand who's looking to like get into the golf space, that kind of thing. That's where the idea came from. And like, we've had no trouble like talking with somebody new every week, really. Like,
nice.
It's always nice kind of catching up. Like, maybe a year later we'll have somebody come back and be like, what's up? Like some, like we'll have pros on every like every other week or so. So like the idea is like, maybe catch up, see how their game's going and stuff like that. But golf brands and stuff, what kind of new stuff they're bringing out. So it's been fun, a lot of fun, really cool. We're lucky, man. We get to talk to a lot of people about golf. It's really easy. It's fun, simple.
And of course your influence is bigger, right? So people want to listen to something that's different and original. As opposed to,
we're really lucky in that sense that our listeners, just like a super organic base of listeners that are interested in golf in general, right? So we're not just talking about like golf architecture or golf like strength training or golf products or anything. Like, we're interested in talking to anybody. We like the idea of talking to anybody about the different things in golf and seeing where that story comes from and where it goes, right? So
well, and that's kind of interesting, because a lot of what I teach and a lot of people say, think that it's golf specific. And the key is that I'm teaching you a skill set that you can apply in your life.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so once they understand that they can take it from the driving range into their life, right? Now it gives them what I call the practice to become really competent at certain things.
Well, and that's why I was asking, Munz, because you said like, I asked you about the different sports, right? So my mind goes to sports. Like, it's what kind of consumes me a lot of the time. But then you said snooker, and I was like, that's kind of, it's a sport, but it's like interesting that it would be relatable to snooker in general. But why don't we just jump into it, Munz? I probably won't even cut any of this stuff, because this is all gold, man. This is all gold all the time. Yeah. So,
it is kind of cool, because the snooker side of it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as golfers, okay, we have this what I call I have a program called Perfect 54, right? Or I should say Player 54. It's the idea that an individual can visually see himself make 18 birdies created in very different ways, okay, and shoot 54, right? So, so now in snooker you have what they call the total break of 147, right?
Okay.
And there's Ronnie Sullivan, okay, who's got almost 1,000 of those, right? And so what I do is I'm training you to do is to see how far you can get, okay, when you use a model like that. Now the idea is not, perfection's not achievable. Okay, but what I'm saying is that if you put it out there, it becomes a place to go to, right? So you're moving towards something, as opposed to, that one of the biggest theories I have is that we teach golf and sport from a therapeutic basis. Now it sounds funny, right? Okay, because a person will come to me, okay, or to any golf coach, and he'll hit a couple of balls, and the first thing he wants to know is, what am I doing wrong? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, it's
Yeah.
very therapeutic. It's like going to a psychologist, right? Okay, what am I doing wrong? Okay, what's going on, right? So I kind of change that a little, okay, and I say, well, if we focus on always correcting the wrong, okay, you're always correcting. You're not really creating a pattern that's going to last with you habitually for the rest of your life, right? So I say, okay, well, let's start off with what you're doing right, and then build on all the things that you're doing right. So one of the things I like to do with my players is I'll say to them, when you're playing really well, you come and see me, okay, and I'll do a free lesson. So why is that interesting? Well, you want to know what you're doing right when you're playing well, right?
Of course.
Yeah. It's not a question of, okay, can you see how the mindset changes?
Yeah.
Very, very, very different, right? And then now if we can make that habitual, make that a pattern in, okay, this is what I'm doing right. The more right you do, right, okay, the better you get at. Now people will say, well, what if you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong, okay, how can I correct myself? Well, the idea of working on what you're doing right, okay, is self-correcting in itself. Because the more things you do right, say in golf, right, okay, because you can't teach golf as an isolated movement. Okay, it's one of the biggest difficulties, right?
Right.
Okay, it has to be a full motion, right? If you're getting one part of the movement right, okay, now it starts affecting all the other parts. But you have to see it in the whole context of it, right? And so if we break that down, okay, now I got to get into what are you thinking? What is your intent? Does your intent align with your experience? And I think understanding is a big trap, because if we look for understanding, we don't get the experience, and we don't allow, because I work with the nervous system and the vestibular system, right? We don't allow our innate ability to learn to actually come in and take over our progression. So I'll give you an example. So as a kid, if I say to you, Mac, okay, would you be able to tell me how you learned how to walk or learned how to talk? You see that information's gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No
not
idea.
available to you, right? Okay, so like I spent a couple of months at kindergarten watching kids how to learn how to walk, and they do this really, really cool thing, right? So they'll look around. Okay, so they're on the sitting on the bottom, and then they'll try and get up. Okay, then they'll fall down. Okay, and then they look around. They don't get up straight away, right? Okay, so there's something going on there, right? Now, if you look at a kid that's between 9 months and 14 months, they don't have a developed brain. You can't give them instruction, right?
Right.
It's foreign to them, right? Okay, so what are the systems that are working in place? Okay, so it's the vestibular system, which involves what we hear, what we see, okay, and our balance, right? Okay, and then you got the nervous system, is what I call your input output. So when they drop down and they look around, the nervous system comes in, right? Okay, and it starts taking information or raw data. Then it sends it up, okay, to the vestibular system, and then after a while, they try and get up again and walk, right? So now we have that innate ability to learn. My thing is, well, why aren't we using that? Why are we getting into technicalities? Why are we getting into what I call specific position-based? Now, they all serve their purpose, right? But we want to accelerate our learning, because once you've learned how to walk, okay, you never have to learn it again.
I love that,
Once
man.
you-
I'm thinking like
Right,
I
right.
got a 2-year-old Munz, so I'm kind of thinking about him sitting in the room, and like when he would try and get up, fall down on his butt,
Yeah.
and then you're right, he would like look around and almost look for like me to do it or something to like be able to show him that or whatever it may be, right? But then it's just like
And so it's and they watch you, right? So
Yeah.
it's what they see, right? But there's no there's no what I call mental analysis, right? So when we watch a video, so if we go back to any sport, right? Okay, and we want to mimic someone, okay, we just look at them and then we try and make the motion that they're doing, right? And so there's no real analysis when you're going into mimicry, right? That's why the whole idea of, so when I'm doing summer camps, I do a lot of the Simon Says. Simon Says do this, right?
Right.
Kids love that because they're just mimicking action. They're not worried about what it looks like or whether they're doing something wrong or not. They just want to mimic the motion.
Yeah.
So there's an innate learning ability, right? So we don't have to be taught that. It's there. All we have to do is put our instruction, whether it's in life or whether it's in sport, right, in a way that aligns to that specific system.
But in golf, so we all have this obsession, right? When we're like learning the game or when we're having difficulties, and we're trying to mimic or mirror or like create the perfect swing. And there's got to be like the vestibular system versus the nervous system for a lot of players. Like a lot of times it can't work like it can for Rory or Tiger or something, right? So like, how do you, when you're working with clients, how do you like combat those thoughts?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Okay, so nervous system, right? Okay, we're looking at relaxation and fight or flight, right? Okay, so if you're in fight or flight, no learning takes place, right? So the whole goal is to just get them in a very relaxed mode, okay, so we can get them to understand what's going on, right? The moment you do that, okay, now your feedback as to what you see, what you hear, okay, and what I call balance or motion, okay, you become more aware of that. Now, a lot of the fear, okay, comes from the game is difficult to learn, right? Okay, that's one of the things. The other thing, and but we don't see this often, but it's always there. It's the fear of looking foolish, right? Because if you can't hit the golf ball, you don't look good, okay, in front of your people. Right. Okay. So, because you were always trying to look for approval or for appreciation from the people around us, right? And if there's a fear of, okay, I'm not going to be able to show them how good I am, okay, you go into fight or flight, you go into control, and you lose the freedom of movement, right? So that's the first part, right? Then when you get into the vestibular side, right? Okay, which is really, really interesting, because all golf is taught on what I call a conceptual basis. It's ideas and thoughts we have as to how we move, right? The brain, though, functions contextually, okay? And we all function out of memory.
Okay.
Right, okay. Because every day we get up, we're working from our memory, right?
Of course.
So that's why it gets difficult to make the change, right? Okay, because that memory is in there. But once you understand, okay, that you're working from memory and that it can be different, right? Then what you're doing is you're creating a new memory for your body to function from that. Now, this is interesting because when people do make great changes, right? What happens, okay, is they'll fall back into the default. Why? Because they haven't accepted the new level of play.
Yeah, because so they go back into. I feel like we see that all the time. Where like somebody just something almost like clicks, like it just clicks, like and
then they have it for like 3-4 weeks, right?
Right.
Okay, and then they go back to their old, and they say, "Well, what happened?" Right? And for me, that's one of the keys in getting you to progress, because every time you progress, every time you do better, you want to be able to have that as you move forward. So it's a building block. It's a building block to where you want to go. So if you fall, you're not falling all the way back to where you were, but you're falling one step back. And then I give them a system that allows them to actually progress. So one of the big things when I'm teaching is, if they ask me a question, I can answer it. It gives them a fact. Okay, so they have a fact, right? Okay, say this is what it is. But if I ask them a question, they're going to be open to more experiences to see how their body actually functions optimally, right? It's different. It's very, very different. You've got to look at all those aspects when you're teaching. So the way we speak becomes very, very, very critical.
I didn't think I'd learn
It's
this much
very
right now,
different
man. I
in terms.
didn't. I like this so because one of the things that I feel like in my game specifically is something that I'll play like a few holes and then like maybe I'll get like bored. I'll like hit a bad shot or something and then I'll just kind of like I'll get to a point where I'm just like, oh, I'm going to try and hit this cool shot or something. But one of the conversations that we've been having, I think it really like started to connect when we were having a conversation with a young man named Cam Kellett. So he's at Eastern Michigan University. He's an unbelievable golfer, and it's kind of translated into different conversations with like one of the most recent ones was with Etienne Papineau, who's now just got his Corn Ferry Tour card, right? So and it's being able to translate the mental like the mental ability to like the I guess the mental part of your game to your physical ability, and that's one of the things
the neuromuscular.
Yes, exactly, right. So that's one of the things that I feel like players get to a point where something happens in their golf game. Kevin Gordon said the same thing. Like something happens and then you just have it, and you're always striving to get there and have that back, right?
Right.
We talk about like professional athletes and like the mental ability and what kind of separates like what makes Michael Jordan like debatably the greatest athlete of all time, and it's like the mental aspect of like that he almost had like the greatest mental ability to connect with himself, but also like to use that mental edge over other players and stuff like that too. And I think Tiger Woods did that better than anyone else, right? And that's why Scotty Scheffler would have to be the world number one for 11 more years or something to tie that record. It's I always find that part fascinating where some people are able to find that and they're able to channel that and use that for such a long period of time. Like Tiger Woods had a cut streak of like
Unbelievable,
a million
right?
cuts. It's like
I mean, he had that run of where he never missed a cut for about like 200 and something.
It's wild, right? So how is one person able to do that like better than the other? And I think like when you and I first started kind of connecting, kind of chatting, that was one of the things that popped into my mind right away is how do people like build that, because you have to train that as if you would train in the gym or train your body or anything like that, right? So I think it's something that's more identified in today's game, in today's games, like in all sports.
So it is kind of interesting. So you remember when Byron Nelson won those 11 in a row?
Yes.
Okay. And he would say, okay, I'm just going to hit balls, okay, so I don't lose the feeling, right? Okay. So now this is really, really key, okay, because part of my little catchphrase or my logo is feel good, play well. Okay. But you have to understand when I break it down, right? Okay. That you have to do something in order to feel. Right. Okay. So if you're teaching from feel, okay, we making it very, very difficult. So what the feel is your how to, right? So what I do is I tell you what to do and you figure out the your how to, which is your feel to get you where you want to go. So what happens, right? Okay, is once we do the motion, then you get the feel, okay, and then as you do more of the motion, you stay with the feel and the motion or the technical part, right? Which is similar to like when you were learning how to walk, right?
Right.
You forget that, okay, and you just know, okay, that's where I want to walk to, and you walk there. There's an actual system based on repetitions and awareness that I teach, okay, that gets you there. So and again, it does require practice, but not as much practice as you think.
So can we walk through an example?
Say
I have one. I have one I want to ask you about.
So give me an
Okay. So we were talking with a gentleman named Jim Kelly from Kestrel Golf. I don't know if you know Jim. He's in our area, so he's in the Toronto area. Really nice guy, really smart guy. And he was explaining about so like Kestrel Golf has this one specific like tee. It's supposed to be like essentially the most efficient golf tee for where the prongs sit on the ball, things like that might benefit super high level players. So a lot of like PGA Tour players use it and stuff like that. It's like over my corner or over my right here is the box of them. The little circular thing right here.
Okay.
So he was telling us that I wish I had the stat in front of me, but it's a very small amount of players in the world that hit up on the ball, like 2% or less when they're hitting their driver. We all think in our mind that we're hitting up on the ball, right? We all think, okay,
Yes.
like I'm going to tee the ball forward in my stance and I'm hitting up on the ball. But in fact, that's like not true. And a lot of even tour players are not doing that. So if that was something that I came to you, Munz, and I said, like, let's work on hitting up on the ball. I think like I used to be a pretty good golfer. Now I'm more like a rec golfer. I don't work my game too much, but
Yeah, yeah.
the ability's there for sure. Like I could find that for sure. So if I came to you and I said, okay, I want to like, I'm struggling off the tee, whatever it is, and I want to work on getting myself in the position to be able to hit up on the ball. How would you like
Okay,
diagnose a player and then work through that pattern for them?
So firstly, what I would do, okay, is I have a little sheet that I go through, right?
Okay.
Okay, because there's key things that I want to work with, right? Now it's kind of interesting because modern technology is changing the way we teach, right? Because everything becomes data driven, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I would do an analysis. I'd say, okay, these are the areas that need attention, okay, but we specifically focusing on you getting to hit the ball up. Now, I'm assuming, okay, so say I had somebody like you, right? Okay, and I would do the assessment, okay, and I say, this is where we are, okay, this is what we want to do, right? Okay, now, a lot of it also is going to depend on, because I got to do a little background, okay, who were you coached by, right? Okay, good, because sometimes the information that you have, okay, because you still, you have comfort in it, because your body will only do what it knows what to do, right? It's not going to try and do something that it doesn't know, right? So I get a little background, okay, and then I clear up some of the data points, right? And I'll say, right, okay, this is a little different. This is a little different. Or what I'll do is I'll change the context of that information so that it applies to where you are, right? So now what we'll get you to do, right, okay, is just get you to sense, okay, where the areas are that create what I call an upward strike, okay, in terms of the golf swing, right? Okay, there's a couple of areas that you got to look at. Okay, you've got to look at ball position. You got to look at tee height is not necessarily an indicator that you're going to hit the ball up.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, definitely not. Right. Okay. Movement patterns. Right. Okay. So those are the things that are going to be really, really important. So the first thing, okay, I would do, okay, is I would go really simple. Right. Okay. I'd say to you, okay, now I got to address what you're thinking. Okay. So in your head, what do you think you have to do in order to hit the ball on the up?
Yeah, because like me having some knowledge of the golf swing, I'm going to be thinking about instantly, like my takeaway is going to be my first thought, and like what position I'm putting my hands into, how far back I'm bringing them, like so many different factors that go into it, right? But there's something that's, you know, in my golf swing, it's not connecting like from the top to the bottom to be able to have that upward strike, right? Or if that's the case that I'm coming to you to talk about it, right? And clearly that was one stat that kind of shocked Bryce and I when Jim said that. We thought to ourselves, like, that sounds bizarre. Like that can't be true. And he was like, no, in fact, it is true. Like it might be a very small amount, and like a lot of tour players might have a very parallel swing, or like their swing plane might be a bit more flat than you realize, but like there's very few that are actually hitting up on the ball. So if I'm taking my hands away, I'm going to be thinking about it that way. But I don't know if every golfer would think about that. I don't know if every golfer would think about, you know, where their knees are, and we talked about ground force and stuff like that. So there's many different pieces to that. So I guess that's a very detailed response to what you're asking, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what I do, the first place I would go, right, okay, is once I've done the analysis, I'd get you to hit golf balls, okay, and change where you're looking.
Okay.
Right, okay, so what do I mean by that, right? Okay, I'm going to get you to look more in the clouds, right? So where you're looking, okay, I'm not going to pick your target on the fairway. So we're going to have your target on the fairway, but higher.
Okay.
Right, okay, now, the moment your eyes go up there, what happens to your body? The body has to self-organize in order to get the ball there, right?
Right.
Okay, so all I'm doing, okay, is I'm saying, okay, hey, you know what? I know you've got a golf swing. I know you can hit the ball. okay, if I change where you are in terms of where you're looking, it's going to change the way you launch the ball, right? So if I give you a little example, right? Okay, so when you're playing catch, right? Okay, yeah. So say you're throwing to your buddy, Okay, so where are you looking at in terms of the person, right? Most of the time you're looking at his chest, right?
Yeah, the target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now if I say to you, okay, look at his legs and throw, which way are you going to go?
Right. You're gonna spike it into the ground, or the speed
Okay.
or whatever.
If I say look at over his head, try and throw it over his head, what happens? You see how your body self-organizes?
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, yeah. So I get you to do that, right? Okay. And then I get you hit. Now I watch what's going on, right? Now with technology, right? Okay, you can break it down. Okay, there's 4 really key aspects in data. Okay, and TrackMan, okay, has a hierarchy of data. If you don't understand the hierarchy of data, you can't use the data. So the first one, okay, is your angle of attack, right? Those are the key ones. So you got to know what your angle of attack is. If it's negative, if it's positive, right? Okay, and what it actually, the motion is for you, right? So what's the motion, and then what does it feel like, right? So now we do angle of attack. Now, here's the funny thing is that angle of attack is going to dictate your swing path, right? Okay, because the more angle of attack you have, okay, the more out to in you're going to be, right? Okay, the more in to out you are, the less angle of attack you have. So you need the data on the angle of attack, right?
Yeah.
Then you need your club face, right? Okay, if your club face is open, you're going to have loft and more spin. If your club face is closed, right? Okay, then you're going to have more distance, okay, and it's going to probably go to the left, right? So those are the data points you need to look at. Then you need to look at your club path, okay, and then your face to path. Those are only the 4 things you need to look at. So when I get you to just look up, right, okay, and I get you to hit golf balls, right, I'm going to ask you what are the changes that you sense, okay, in terms of your movement. What's the change, right? Okay, then we manage your feedback with the data, okay, and get you to get you the idea, okay, that now you know exactly what it is that you're doing to hit the ball up. But that's the simplest, right? And it's the most logical, but we don't use it a lot, right?
Yeah, but it's something that, like, I think a lot of us, there's going to be deeper levels to this, but like a lot of us, like,
absolutely.
a lot of us, like weekend warriors, so to speak, like we can use these things when we're just like struggling, right? So like if I'm struggling, I'm like, man, like I cannot get the ball off the tee right now. Like maybe something as simple as like in my pre-shot routine, I'm just looking up. Like it's just I'm just getting
hit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, your target is up there. Very simple. But I'm just giving something that you can use straight away, right?
Right.
Okay,
well, and that's what I mean too. I think a lot of golfers like
then
struggle with that to be able to come back. So like, I'm trying to like also have information for more players that aren't playing maybe every day as well too. Right? That's kind of the idea of what I'm trying to say is like for me when I'm just like I haven't hit a ball in 4 days or something like that, and I'm out there and I'm just like fighting it or whatever. Simple things like that are kind of what we're all looking for. Like, I don't want to say that magic pill, so to speak, but like we are kind of looking for things to help assist us to get through the round a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, what I call the self-organization principle, right? If I give you something, okay, what's your intent? Okay, my target is no longer the fairway, right? I mean, in terms of where we're looking, right? I'm not looking where I want it to land, right? Okay, I'm looking up above the skyline where I want to hit it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now you have the what I call self-organization of the body in order to get you there. Now, as you go deeper, as I would be working with you, okay, then I'm going to be saying, right, okay, here's what happens when I get you to do that. So I'll videotape you, and you'll see the change in where your body is, right? Okay, and then what we do, okay, is we practice those movement patterns, okay, so that you can do it without looking up there. That's if you don't want to look there, right? But now we're getting into the mechanics of what's going on. And so I'm teaching you motion as opposed to position. Because where we get stuck, okay, and I say this a lot. I'll say positions are great, okay, but speed and momentum will change position. Always.
Mac here for Manscaped. Gentlemen, our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other. with their brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're talking about a next generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave a mind can imagine. AI is cool, but I think this might be the best technology advancement the world has ever seen. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultrasphere this year by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping using the promo code OTSGolf. High tech for low prices. Manscaped OTS Golf for 20% off plus free shipping. We'll see you in the Ultrasphere. So
you hear Jack say, when I was playing, I was trying to let the club go as quickly as I could from the top. Okay, and we think that's casting, right? But yeah, he worked it in reverse, right? Because if I get you to think about, because when you look at the video, you see the leg, right? You see his hands, you see the club, behind him. You see all those great positions. You see his footwork, but that's a consequence, okay, of where his intent is. Now, he's trying to move, to let go at the top, but speed and the momentum will make it happen much later. So when I'm working, say I'm working with you, right? Okay, and you thinking, oh, I'm hitting up. This is where I'm feeling I'm hitting up. Because speed and momentum change where you are, you're going to have to feel it earlier. Because you're actually doing the motion, then you get the feel, right?
Right.
There's a gap.
Sorry, I'm like picturing my swing as we're going.
For
the lulls in airspace and stuff like that I might be having. It's like,
because if you're seeing that ball flight, right?
Yeah, I'm working through my own internal lesson here as we're going.
Okay, and you see, that's the goal, right? Okay,
right.
The goal is to make it your own internal lesson.
Yeah.
That's why I said to you, I said, when we were chatting, I said, I'm not going to teach you the golf swing. What you're going to learn is how to swing the golf club. Now that becomes very personal. It becomes your individual lesson, right? Okay, and then what I do is I help them navigate with the different things that I work through in the lessons. I'll say, okay, one of the key things is knowing how long you're going to practice for, okay, and then head out, right? Because a lot of people have the idea, okay, that we learn when we're practicing. Okay, that's not true. The learning takes place after you practice.
Why do you say that specifically?
Okay, so if you're trying to learn something in the motion, right? Okay, your brain is getting into control and you're trying to do things. You're not allowing the body to learn the motion independent of thought.
So you're saying like the thought process that you take away from that experience, like
actually it's the reflection, right?
Okay.
So if you watch
right,
the pros, practice, right? They hit a couple of balls, okay, and then they step away. Now the learning happens not when they're hitting the golf ball. The learning happens when they're reflecting on what happened.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. So now, okay, so I go to the driving range, okay, and I just see guys just pounding ball after ball after ball after ball, right? Okay, and they, it's common to say, okay, I got to get the reps in, okay, while the repetitions are what, okay, is what I call neuromuscular memory, right? Understanding what you're thinking and what's happening to the body, right? So it's neuromuscular, and it's not what I call muscle memory. Because if we had muscle memory, okay, if you hit 20,000 golf balls and you got over the ball, okay, your muscles should respond, okay, to the same movement, right?
Right.
But it's neuromuscular because what happens? Your attention changes, the way you feel changes, right? The environment, okay, depending on whether it's pressure or not, that changes too, right? Okay, and then it alters how your body functions, right? So that's why we see the tour players as well. They hit bad shots, but they just have the ability to bounce back quick enough to know, okay, this is where I need to be. And that's all you want to do, okay, is you want to teach them, you want to teach your students to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make mistakes. It's okay. What we need to do is have the ability to bounce back and stay in our routine or in our mindset or skill set and then work the way through.
Yeah, like I've been lucky enough to caddy for a couple guys like on the PGA Tour of Canada, and in each group we'll have 3 guys, and it's been very rare that I've seen if ever, have I seen 2 bad shots in a row by anyone in our groups, right? Or when we're out golfing ourselves with our friends and stuff like that, we'll see that all the time. I'll do that all the time, right? But it's kind of like the pros that kind of put those reps in, like we say, step away and think about the things. Like I think about my guy that I caddy for quite a bit. His name's Ziggy or Zahid Ali Nathu, and just like an absolute, like, just a weapon. Like, he's so good. Like, doesn't miss. Like, he's so good. But you know, I'm thinking about when we're warming up and stuff like that. I'm kind of watching him, and he takes that minute. He hits a shot, almost like takes the feedback from the club, kind of steps away, and obviously is like thinking about it, and that's the learning that's happening, right? Like the feedback that he got from that, and trying to kind of like recreate that pattern. And yeah, it's kind of cool when you like really think about things like that, when you really
like that. So you know, the motion pattern, and remember what I said to you, right? We all function from memory,
right?
The more we can get a movement pattern that's optimal for you, right? Okay, because each person has their optimal level. It looks different, right? But the outcome that we get is pretty similar.
For sure, yeah.
So
well, and you see, like, sorry, Munz, I don't mean to cut you off, but you see so many golfers that have, you know, Jim Furyk. Let's use Jim Furyk, right? He has like such a different move than anybody in the history of the sport, and you know, he's one of the highest earning players of all time. Like, he's obviously, I think he shot a 58. Like,
right. I mean? It's like, the travelers, right?
Yeah. He's got the only other 58. Bryson just had one recently on the Live Tour, right? But it's like, that's it works. He's found a way. He's found a way to kind of connect the mental aspect of what's happening in his, like, you know, the neural system or whatever it may be into the the golf swing is so complex, man. But yeah, sorry, it's just, I'm like deep in thought about this and how like different players have different, the idea is that different players have different moves, and they're able to kind of have the same outcome. Like, he might shoot the same or better than, you know, Sergio on a day, right? And like those are or Rory on a day, and Rory's got you know, probably the best looking textbook swing in the history of golf, right? Or Ben Hogan or something, right?
Great
so
golf swing,
so from what people say is correct, and then you have Jim Furyk, who's, you know, shooting the same scores, delivering the same ball to the same location. The ball has to go in the hole. We say that every week on the pod. The ball's got to go in the hole no matter what. But just doing it a little bit different.
So you know, when I break down, because you've got to define our game, right? So what's our game? Okay, the game is to get the ball in the least amount of shots, right?
Right.
That's the game, right? So what sort of game is it? It's a target game. You got to hit the ball to the target, right?
Right.
So can you see, in terms of what I call hierarchies, right? You've got to learn those, right? The game is to get the ball in the hole, okay, least number of shots, right? The second one, it's a target game, so you got to hit to a target, right? Now, the third and the fourth, okay, now you're getting into the technical side. You see, what we've done, okay, is we've cut off the connection between the target and getting the ball in the hole, and focused entirely on the mechanics.
Yeah.
If you don't have a connection to the target, right? So as the players get better, now, yes, you've got to go through those fundamentals in order to get there. But if you don't understand it at the get-go, right, that the game is to get the ball in the hole in the least number of shots, okay? And you know, we often say this, there's no pictures on the scorecards.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All you've got is a number, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the number is, as long as it's the least number, right? And then, okay, so what happens is there's this dissociation because of the way we practice. See, on the range, we're practicing our swing, okay? And then we go on to the golf course, and we're still practicing our swing, and we're not playing the game.
Right.
There's a big dissociation, right? Okay, so I get into the simulation. Okay, well, how do you simulate that? Well, you know, then you've got to design your practice sessions, right? So how do we design your practice sessions? Well, first, okay, you want to work on a couple of different things, then work on the routine, okay, and then now get yourself into setting up to play, right? So that's kind of interesting, because, you know, with all my research regarding repetitions and what creates the best numbers in terms of learning, retention, and execution, right? Okay, when he's doing what I call performance-based exercises, there's very specific numbers of repetitions because there's
Okay.
spaces, or what I call time, in between the shots, right? So it was so it was interesting because I was working with a long driver, right? Again, and I said, well, how do you practice, right? Again, he was like, okay, you know what? I go out, I hit a number of balls, I work on a few things, and I went through it again, and then I said, well, how many balls do you hit when you're playing a long drive? 6 golf balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, why aren't you practicing in cycles of 6?
Yeah.
Can you see how that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be logical, right? Okay, that's what you do for a long drive, and then they got to manage their time, and then the bigger thing is once you've done 6, okay, how much time do you have before you go to the next one?
Right.
So you got to break those down.
Yeah.
Now you got to
take like
manage
that
the
2.5
time,
minute window or whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
So,
like marathon runners do that too, right? They have obviously there's been a formula over time that's been built up because they don't ever run like a full marathon leading up to
yes.
it, but they run like a half or something, and they like that they find like their peaking times, and bodybuilders do it too and things like that, right? There's
Yeah.
like certain formulas, so it's kind of interesting that yeah, maybe this is a little bit untapped in golf. It's probably untapped in world long drive or long drive because
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are just trying to like smash the ball as far as they can, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe like I've been lucky enough to have Ryan Gregnell on the podcast, and Bo
Yeah.
Blair and Andrew Agner. Like these are like top hitters in the world, right? So
Mhm.
Ryan Gregnell being like a top 7 or 8 player or hitter in the world. So it's like we talked about one of our conversations was right when Bryson came to the World Long Drive Championships in Mesquite right after the Ryder Cup last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how he was just hitting 6 balls in the grid every time. And that kind of got him through the top 8, carried him to the top 8, and then, you know, the cream kind of like rose to the top sort of thing. Like the guys that were hitting the ball further than him, getting 1 in the grid, kind of got to that point, or got past him. But there's so many guys who go 0 for 6 all the time, and Bryson would just take advantage of that because he'd hit 6 in the grid, right?
In the grid, yeah.
And I feel like if players are able to, I remember having this conversation with Monica Living. So she's been on the pod. She's the #1 female hitter in the world right now, and she was saying different approaches, like trying to get more or less like a safe ball out there sort of thing, and then try to really go for it. Whereas if you're practicing more, like you're saying, with those 6 balls,
Yeah.
maybe you're a little bit less worried about those things. Maybe you're feeling a lot more consistent about being able to like put the mental aspect of hitting the ball in the grid 5 or 6 times versus
you know, it's kind of interesting because that's a really I would say, yeah, a very different type of mentality. So I'll give you this here because most long drivers, okay, where's their focus on? Okay, the focus is on speed.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm speaking to a couple of long drivers, and you
it's
know,
dominated by speed right now.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you miss the grid, right? Okay. Then you're not competing, right? So to me, what's the most important thing for a long drive? Understand face control.
Well, and so that's where, like, when I brought up Bryson, I was thinking, like, that's an elite player in the world. That's one of the best players on the planet. And, like, he's not thinking about having to get 1 in the grid. He knows he's hitting.
He's got great club face control, right?
Yeah. So, like, that club face control is going to, if he has a bad set, he's probably going to hit 4 or 5 in the grid, right? It's 40 yards wide.
And he's still competing, right?
Yeah. So then the idea is adding more speed for him, which is, you know, a game that I think he chased for a little bit. But that's kind of an interesting thought of how, maybe.
Well, you got to go club face control because remember, if your club face is open, you're going to have more speed. You're going to have more spin at that speed, right?
Right.
And you lose distance, right? So if you have a sense of, okay, I know how to control my club face, okay, and that's all going to come into what I call the hold, right? So I don't call it the grip, okay, because the nervous system really responds differently to the grip, right? When you say grip, okay, everything tightens up. When I say hold, okay, you're more in what I call that relaxed mode to allow the body to what I call sling or move faster, right? We know, okay, from all our research that relaxed muscles move the fastest. We know that,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah. So it's something that we've got to develop through the way we hold it, right? And through our movement patterns. Okay, does that give me the freedom, okay, to really go at it, okay, with my most relaxed body, right? And so once you understand that, but the big thing is that club face control, okay, is determined by the forces and the pressures in how you hold it, which is something that's not talked about a lot in long drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you know where the forces are, right? Okay, and which way they're working, right? Okay, and how it gives you club face control, because the squarer the club face is to your target line, the further the ball's going to go, right? The less spin you
Of
have.
course.
You know that, right? Okay, and if you're slightly closed, it goes even longer, right? Okay, and then we know if it's slightly closed, also you get more speed into the ball because the toe's turning over as well, right? So my question is, okay, well, okay, remember what I said to you? Angle of attack is going to dictate what we. So I found, okay, now over the last 25, 30 years, right? Historically, everybody wants to swing into out. Okay, now again, remember I said to you, you can't do it in isolation, right? Because if you swing into out, okay, what are you swinging into out? The handle, the club head, right? So we got to determine that, right? If you swing into out, okay, your angle of attack or compression on your irons is always going to be positive, right? You're not going to get the compression because you're swinging out, and the handle goes up, right? So your misses are always right, okay, or in the heel, right? So, but the golf swing is not into out. It's into out and then in and then it's back in, right? Okay, so you got to go. It's that semicircle.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we have to move within the confines of that, right? What happens is because we teach I see it on the track. What are you doing? I'm trying to hit a draw, so I'm swinging into out. Oh, that ended up right. Okay, I got to swing more into out, and they swing more into out, and my hands are going up high, and they got no way of getting the club back, right? So I'm saying, ooh, hold on a second, right? Okay, you need to look at this in its totality. Into out is a great downswing thought, right? But then you got to come back in, right? So that handle's got to come back in, and the club face is going to go a little to the right. But it's that you got to look at that the totality of the swing. Now we're looking at two dimensions, right? So on the ground, we're looking at that semicircle, because if you put a club down, okay, and you just rotate, okay, it's going to be this way, right? So and then you've got to look at, okay, well, if I'm going to hit an into out, what's the type of shot that I want to hit, and how's my body going to move in order to create that shot? So you become what I call self-organizing. What happens is our intent changes, right? We want to hit a draw, and then we hit one shot, okay, and it goes straight right, okay. Then we go into the mechanics as opposed to staying with what our intent is and allowing the body to learn that motion. Really, really interesting in how attention, okay, will change what happens in how we learn.
Now, I want to ask you, Munz. So we're in
Yeah,
conversation with Dr. Munz Abdulla. Is that correct?
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry, should have given.
yeah.
Sometimes I get bad at introductions, so hopefully you guys are still staying with us here at this point. But so we're obviously in deep thought about conversation about the golf swing. So is there like a pattern that a lot of golfers come to you in a question that seems to be a pattern that people want to come and discuss with you?
Actually, yes. Okay, so I mean, the first thing is everybody wants consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what level, right? Okay, they
Yeah,
all want consistency.
that's got to
right?
be it. Like that's
Yeah,
got to
right.
be it.
That's right
Yeah.
out there, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the first thing I got to discuss. What are the components of consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what are we? So a lot of the time, okay, it's and I can do this with my club, but I can't do it with my wood, or I can do this with my driver, I can't do this with my iron, right? And all they want is what I call consistency in the movement pattern, consistency in the strike, okay, and then the big one that I like to talk about a lot, okay, is the idea that you're not putting a lot of effort in what you're trying to do. because physical effort will drain you out really, really quickly, right?
Right.
And then it doesn't allow you to play 18 holes, okay, at that same energy level, right? So there's consistent, and then of course the big one is, okay, I slice the ball, right? Okay, and that's the most common one, right? Okay, and so explaining, because there's a couple of illusions in golf, right? Okay, that you've got to understand, okay, because your eyesight will play tricks on you, right? Okay, and golf, okay, so it's kind of interesting. So if I ask you, Mac, okay, is golf a one target game or a two target game?
Ooh. I'm gonna say two target game based on this. So where you want the club to interact with the ball, and then where you want the ball to end up.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So right. So you're absolutely right. Okay. So
Sweet.
now the club interaction with the ball is a two target game, right?
Right.
The direction of the club to the ball, okay, and the direction of your target line are different, right? Your swing line and your target line are different.
I'm very proud
That's
of
an
myself
illusion,
right now.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it definitely is. Like it
So if you swing on your target line, look at the logic of it, right?
yeah.
Okay, you're going to swing over the top, outside in, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay. If you swing on your what I call your club head to target line, you're going to be swinging into out, okay, and then allowing the club back in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So yeah, and then what happens is visually, right? Okay, so when you're looking at your target, okay, visually, where's the target? Is it on your eye line or is it over your shoulder?
It's over your shoulder. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be.
over your shoulder. So now, okay, now yeah, if it's over your shoulder, where do you see the ball coming up? Over your shoulder, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, and then you have to swing. Your body has to swing to match what you see, because you're seeing the ball over your shoulder. Now, if you watch the pros, okay, and if you've watched any of the pro tournaments, right, you always see the ball going right and then left, even if they're hitting a fade, right?
Right.
Okay, so can you see the ball to target line has to be out in front of you, more towards your right side if you're a right-handed golfer, more towards the left side if you're a left-handed golfer. Now the body can orient itself to that movement to see where the ball's coming up, and that's almost always one of the things that I got to clear out, right? Is the illusion that you're looking over, because the more you look at the target over your shoulder, the more you're aiming right. Okay, the more you've got to swing over the top, and the more you got to get the ball onto this side here, right? So it's just little things like that, right? Okay, that actually help you check your aiming. So I always say, oh, you're aligning with your feet.
So where do you want a golfer looking while they're at address? Like, where's the idea? Like, obviously you're going to go through your pre-shot routine. You're going to set up your at address.
Okay, so
looking down the ball, right?
yeah. So my first question, okay, is what hits the golf ball? The golf club.
Right.
Right. So we got to aim the club to the target.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Of course.
Once you've set up, okay, because now you're looking towards the right side, right? Okay. Now you can orient your body, okay, to match where you're looking at. So I always say, okay, you've got to set up, okay, so that the club face is now again, okay, really important, right? Okay. The club face and where you're aiming is entirely dependent on the shot you're trying to produce, right? So if you're trying to produce a fade, okay, you're going to have to start left so the ball can come right?
Right.
So your club face is going to point left, right? If you're going to hit a draw, okay, your club face is going to point right, okay, and then the body orients to that, right? So dependent on the shot, okay, always set the club face to where you want to see your start direction. Now we know, okay, that the ball flight laws have changed, right? Because we know face angle determines your start direction, and then your swing path determines the curvature. Right, so face angle becomes really, really important. Now, then again, we go back to, okay, what creates face angle, right? So your angle of attack, okay, if it's downward, it's going to go left. If it's into out, it's going to go right. So you play around with those different things, and again, this is where I say to you, there I would say to my students, okay, we're going to play with this, right? Okay, I want you to experience it. Okay, I don't want to give you a fact and say this is how it should be, because there's no this is how it should be, right? We want to find your way, right? So let's play with this. Okay, what did that feel like for you? Okay, what did the movement? Okay, what was the direction of the movement, right? Where were the forces? All those different things that come into play, and then we find out what works for them. So they don't get, and the big thing is, YouTube has a lot of great instruction. Okay, I think all the pros are trying to do the same thing. We want to make better golfers, right? Sometimes the message gets a little gray, right? Okay, and then they can't relate to it. So a lot of the time, I'll tell my students, okay, you need to let me know who you're watching, okay, so that I can interpret the information for you, and you also need to tell me why you're watching them, right? So that I know where you want to get to. So that way, as instructors, because that's our biggest competition, right? Is YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Students, yeah, they'll go in, okay, and they'll watch YouTube and say, oh, you know what? On YouTube, we said this, and my first question would be, wow. I said, you 5'4", the instructor is 6 foot something. You got a physiological change, right?
And that was kind of my thought with that, is like sometimes we just might not physically have the same ability to hit the same shot or the same pattern or just the same swing that the instructor has, right? And that's kind of where the conversation was starting with how do we I guess, like, how do we train our minds to understand that we won't be able to have that same pattern that Tiger has or Rory has or whoever it is. Like the golf swing might just be different. We might not have the physical ability, but then there are the Jim Furyk's of the world who can still find what works best for them and make that a successful golf swing, right?
And you know what, that's all we're looking for, is we're looking for an optimal motion for the individual, one that has longevity, right? Okay, this is huge, right? Because now with so much happening in terms of physical training and long drive, we are seeing way too many injuries in golf,
right,
even at an amateur level, right? Okay, and that's not good for longevity of the game, right? We're going to have a lot of people leaving, okay, because they can't move, they've hurt their back, they've done this, they've done that, right? And so for me, that's a very, very key point, and like I said to you, when I was working through my system in terms of where I wanted to go, there were two really, really key and relevant questions. One, who hits the ball the furthest and hasn't been injured, right? Okay, and then who hits the ball the straightest, okay, and hasn't been injured, right? Okay, in their careers, right?
Right.
And so so I mean, you got Mike Austin, you got Mo Norman. Now, the thing is, okay, well, what were they doing that was different in order for them to stay competitive for that long and still hit the ball as long as he did, right? Because we know Mike Austin in that US Open hit the ball 515 yards. Okay, and he had a pitching wedge back into the green. We know Mo Norman, okay, just hits the ball straight every single time. Now, you have different movement patterns, right? But you also have what the club is doing at impact and the movement pattern to get you to impact, okay, and into that finish. Now, if we understand the key components of those, right, then I can say, now we can develop your own style.
How do you answer John Daly, who says you can't pull fat?
Sorry, yeah.
Such a funny thing. John Daly's just a character.
Yeah.
John Daly's just a character. But so Munz, I asked you about like golf specific questions. So like with a lot of your clients that come to you about golf, like is there a correlation for any of the listeners who might be listening that are interested in other sports? Like you said consistency. That's got to be one that people are looking for in other sports.
Yeah. So consistency and of course the being the what I call the ability to recognize what's going on around you.
Okay,
yeah, because environment, okay, has a huge effect. I had one of my CEOs that I work with, right? Okay, and it was kind of interesting. At practice, this guy was amazing. Consistent movement. I was like, great. Okay, what's going on? Okay, and he was like, okay, this is what's going on. I feel really good. Then I said to him, okay, you know what? I'm going to join you in one of your 4 balls with the other CEOs that you invite, right? So I went in, okay, totally different player. Couldn't hit the ball, couldn't do it. Okay. And so I got to 9 holes and I pulled him aside and I said, okay, what's going on? So he says, no, it's not falling in today. And I said, no, okay, let's look at this, right? Okay, because you can't just say it's not your day. Let's see what's going on. So I said, one, okay, are you concerned about how you'd look in front of your CEOs? Yeah, right. Okay. Two, where was even more pressure on him was the fact that they knew he was taking lessons, so he had to show improvement.
Right.
Right. Okay. So now we're looking at what I call internal elements, right? Okay, which are the biggest cause of what's going on, right? Because if they trying to look good, okay, they're not actually doing what they practice. So I said, okay, all I want you to do, okay, is go back to our practice session, right? Okay, how we simulated you, we're going to play. And the goal is to see in the next 9 holes, okay, how well you maintained your mindset, okay, and your awareness, okay. Because if you caught yourself, okay, getting into the old mode, that's a plus, that's a positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he started off first hole, okay, didn't do well, didn't do well, but was aware that he was concerned about how he was competing with these other players. So the moment he got that, okay, you know what, I'm going to stay with where I am. Okay, one shot, good shot, second good shot, third good shot. All of a sudden, he got this consistency, right? Okay, and then he finished off. Okay, we didn't even look at his score, right? And I said, how do you do in terms of your score? He says, well, he shot at like a 41. All his other players shot 43, 45, right? And I was like, okay, can you see the difference, right? Okay, what you want to do is, well, got you in a situation where this is how you want to play. You want to stay focused in where you. A lot of it. So the second question comes. It's mindset.
Right.
Okay. It's So a lot of them will say, well, how do I get there? How do I hit the ball further? And I'll be honest with them. And I said, I can't tell you how you're going to do it. The thing that I can do for you is tell you what you need in order to get your how to hit the ball further. Because everyone's how is different. Okay, like we have Jim Furyk, Matthew Wolf. Okay, we have all these. I mean, Lucas Ardwick is very different. Also, I don't think he's a standard model. Okay, you have all these different players. John Rahm. Okay, so we want to find their how. We don't want them to go and try and duplicate someone else, right? Because it doesn't work, right? Yeah, as you said, your skill ability. So the second one is mindset. Okay, and then of course the third one, okay, is because it's becoming a really good social and business sport because of COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this embarrassment? You know, they don't want to feel embarrassed when they're playing. Okay, and if you're working towards not being embarrassed, okay, then your level of play is just going to be to the point where you're not embarrassed. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I had a couple of good holes, right? Okay, so again, it's changing the context. Okay, my question is, how good do you want to be?
Yeah, it's an important question to ask, right? And
yeah, it is.
so I think too, Munz, like one of the things that I've been talking a lot about is like pre-shot routine, and it sounds like is that something that you work on like with clients to establish that? Like once you find that success, then you establish that pattern.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
you know what? Your preparation. Okay.
Is there anything like specific about a pre-shot routine, or are you just trying to develop one based on what, like, say, in this case, like your client, like what their needs are, and trying to develop one that they can exercise like throughout the round, or is there like a common thing?
Yeah, there is a model, right? Okay, so it's kind of interesting. There is definitely a model for the pre-shot routine, but you have to break it down from what I call your critical area, which is over the ball, right? So most golfers, right, okay, are thinking when they're over the ball. I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this in order to hit the shot well, right? So they've got this, what I call thinking and movement, right? So the first thing is to separate that, right? So as they get into the shot, okay, they've already thought about what they want to do. Now they only need to observe what happens. Okay, so you're not trying to physically do it because your body has its instructions, right? Okay, you know, you don't say, like if you were throwing a ball, right? Okay, you don't throw the ball, okay, and then as you get here, you try and add some more to throw the ball, right? You just get into the motion and you throw it, right? So you know that's where you want to throw, right? Now, the big thing is getting to the point of trust. Okay, so that's where I build. Okay, each individual has a different system of trusting. So I get into that. So the first thing is think, swing, right? Then once they can separate that over the ball, okay, then I go further back behind the ball because now they're getting into an orientation into where they want to hit the ball and what shot they want to hit, right? Then I get them into, okay, well, here's where you want to see it. Okay, what is the thing that gets you to create that shot? So each individual has, say, if he wants to hit a draw, okay, he knows this is what it feels like for him, right? And then so I get them to go into the think side, then go into the critical area, and I get them to use their eyes a lot over the critical area because you want to connect the ball to your target and then the target to the ball, okay, and then swing and allow the body to move towards the ball to target area.
Yeah, I feel like we hear that so much as like, oh, you have to like visualize the shot, right? And I do think not a lot of players know how to do that. I don't think that that's a common thing, right? Like I think we can visualize the shot, but like, can we visualize ourselves hitting that shot, right? That they're two very different things, right?
Yeah, that thing. So sometimes it's kind of interesting when I work with players and I'll say, okay, well, what shot you want to hit? Okay, and they go, oh, I want to hit a little draw, right? And they use the hand, right?
Right.
That creates the feeling of the body, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can't visualize it, okay, I'll say use your hands, okay, or use the club. How do you want to hit? Yeah. So the whole idea is finding ways that brings back a feeling to the body, right?
Well,
so
and I do that. I do that when I putt a lot. So I have I don't want to give away my secret 'cause my putting is about the only thing that saves my game some days. But like obviously I have my kind of like my pre-shot routine, your grip check, things like that, like checking your club face and stuff like that. But I find like a lot of success when I trace the ball back from the hole. Like I trace the hole back to the ball, right? So
yeah.
I don't know that a lot of players do that. People get into their thoughts. They get into their like idea of like, okay, I want to kind of start it on this line. It might be a few inches in front of them or something that they've heard. Like I got to hit it to the apex and like here, but then it might not. Whereas it might not have like pace is a big thing too, right? So with me, I'm able to look at the hole and I'm able to kind of get like gauge a mental gauge, of what that ball is going to look like on hopefully the last turn or last couple turns as it falls in the hole, right? And I think that helps a lot with my ability to like get the ball to the hole and hopefully hit the hole or not roll too far past it either, right? So
it's kind of interesting because I use that when I'm doing preparation with my tour players, I get them to play the hole backward,
right,
from the hole, okay, to the putt, okay, to the second shot, to the drive, right? Okay, now when you're working backwards, okay, it's a system, right? Okay, it's when you're working backwards, you've already created the pattern to move forward.
Yeah, I should probably do that more because there's so much. I find there's a lot of success when I do that. Like on the green, I should probably do that through the actual golf hole a little bit more.
Yeah. So I'd get them to play 18 holes backwards, right? Okay.
Right.
Because then they have a sense of, okay, well, I know that's where I'm going to hit it from. When I actually caddied for some of my players, okay, we'd walk the course backward, right? Okay, we'd start on 18 and say, well, where would you like to hit it from here? Then again, it depends on the pros or the player's shot shape, right? Okay,
right.
If he likes to play a draw, okay, where does he want to hit it from, right? From the left side or the right side? Okay, it's always easier to hit it from the left side, right? If he's going to hit a fade, it's always easier to hit it from the right side. So now his tee shots got to put him in a position to hit that shot.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, right.
I like that. Yeah, it's obviously like it's setting you up for success, right? And then there's going to be times where you don't hit the perfect shot, and then you kind of make an adjustment.
We don't, right? Okay, because I mean, if you ask all the top players, how many perfect shots did you hit? They'll probably say in a round, and sometimes even in 4 rounds, they'd say one.
Yeah.
One perfect shot.
Yeah.
But they manage the margin of error so well. Okay, that everything looks perfect for us, right?
Well, Nick Taylor kind of said that about. I was listening to like an interview with him, and he kind of said that about the RBC last year. It's like obviously that 70 2.5 foot putt that he hit was the perfect putt.
Yeah.
If it didn't hit the hole, it was probably going 10 feet by. But
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he talked about like leading up to that and just not playing perfect golf, but trying to like limit the errors and stuff like that. And both him and Tommy Fleetwood had errors, you know, on the 72nd, 73rd, 74th, 75th, whatever holes they played, right? They both had errors with that. And so that was kind of the idea of that. I think he hit 5 wood up or whatever it was
correct,
just limit the ability of hitting errors. Like Fleetwood was in a tough spot, hit a great shot to kind of get it to like 10 feet or whatever it was. And then obviously Nick Taylor hits that and it's in the history books now, but that's kind of the idea of, you know, in the round, like in the 4 days, the only perfect shot he's going to remember was that putt at the end. Like none of the shots leading up to it were perfect, but it's kind of like mitigating those errors and stuff and trying to like put yourself in a position to have success. And I think that's one thing as golfers we forget. I forget that all the time. I'm like, I remember when I was like 16, I used to be able to hit this shot.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I don't have that shot anymore or whatever it is, but I still try sometimes, but it's probably there. It happens out of a certain amount of time. So, yeah.
So the key though, Mac, okay, is how do you access that? You know, it's there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I come in, okay? Because I'm using different modalities, I'm using different strategies, and I'm teaching you a skill set so that you can have access to that ability. Right?
Yeah. Need that 16-year-old body back too, though, is the problem, right?
Well, yes and no, because your body's going to respond to the movement pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's going to feel safe within that movement pattern because it knows it's done it before, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what all my teaching is based around, okay, how do we recover that ability, okay, to hit that shot? So it's not so much teaching you the shot, it's what I call retrieval. That's the biggest thing. Okay, how do you retrieve the ability to hit that shot again? And so my systems that I teach, based on neuromuscular and nervous system ability, is designed for the individual to be in a position to say, you know what, I got this. Right, so because a lot of the time when you and it's kind of interesting because you know when you work with all golfers, right, and it doesn't matter whether it's a new golfer. So a new golfer, I'll get them to do a few things, and then they hit this really beautiful pure shot, right?
Right.
And they're like, wow, okay. And then we ask the question, is, well, what did you do? And they'll say, it felt like I did nothing.
Right.
Okay. See, now, you see, they don't have access to all that information, right? The goal is to, let's give them questions that are going to have the ability to access that and find out how they, in what I call how they processing information. Because each person processes it rather differently, right?
Of course.
If I'm working with an engineer, I can use language related to the engineer. If I'm working with a doctor, I can use language related to a doctor. If I'm working with a layperson, right, I'll use very simple layperson language. It really depends on whether they're technical, whether they're not, whether they get a sense of, I can do this or I can't. Because the whole goal is to get them into a place where they say, you know what, I can do this. And then it moves, right?
And be able to repeat it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting into the philosophies that I use. The systems are very, very specific. They like I said to you, they're more directed to the individual. I do teach groups, right? So there's if you understand group dynamic, there's a different set of circumstances and conditions that apply when you're teaching groups, right? Because the group dynamic can either accelerate your growth or retard it, or lessen it, whichever way you look at it, right? So the goal is when you're working with the group, what is the place that we got to go to make the group dynamic work, right? And so we can teach that. Now I work a lot with husband and wives, and or girlfriends and boyfriends, okay? And that's a good group dynamic too, right? Okay, when you understand what's going on, okay, and you can use that, okay, to perpetuate the growth of each individual golfer. The individual golfer, okay, is the one that's really self-analyzing, diagnosing, overthinking, So those are the things that we got to break down, right? Okay, there's a lot of things that underlie that. So, it's not something that I speak to them about. It's what they tell me and how we can direct it. Because I'm giving you very detailed. Okay, this is where it comes from. This is what I'm doing. This is where it's going. My students need to know that as well, so the big question is, am I aligned with my student goals, right? And there's a lot of great golfers, golf instructors. Somebody will come to me, oh, I went to this instructor, it didn't happen. And so then, I try and clear some misunderstandings that they might have had. Okay, and say, right, this is where we are. Okay, we've got to change our language a little bit. We got to do that. And so it's kind of interesting because the biggest, when I talk about language, the biggest thing is that the grip. I don't teach the grip. I teach you how to hold it because I know from a nervous system, that's the biggest thing.
Right.
And if I can just get you to hold it, it's going to allow you to be in a place of, okay, you know what, I can swing this club. I get you to grip it. Okay, there's that element of tightness. And there are forces in the golf swing. Okay, I'm not saying that there's no forces and pressures, right? But you can understand them and still make what I call a relaxed hold with the golf club to allow it to move, right? So,
well, yeah, and we hear that, I think Tiger said that before. Like, if you were to like rank how hard you want to hold a golf club, it's like 3 out of 10 sort of thing. Like, it's not, you're not trying to like over grip the club, and even for, that's got to be hard for like somebody who's trying to hit like, a long drive PR to actually kind of think about that, right? Like the club will be safe in the hands and it will be fine. And but
so that's an interesting thing that you brought up. Okay, so 3 out of 10 is an arbitrary scale,
right? Of course,
it has no relationship to the individual, right?
Yeah.
So when I teach them how to hold it, okay, they need to know what a 3 out of 10 is for them.
So and that's the thing. It's going to be very different for everybody, right? Everybody's grip strength is going to be very different. So like, 30% for me might look a lot different than 30% for you. Even,
yeah, for me, so, right? Yeah. So I have different exercise in how we get to that optimal level of hold pressure, right? So and then it's yours because you own it, right? It's not. I mean, you hear Tiger say, "I want to own my swing." Well, I want them to start off owning how they hold it, right? With their own hold pressure. So I have different exercises that they'll do that they'll get a sense of, okay, this is my hold pressure. This is what a 3 out of 10 words feels like for me, right? Now, it may be a little too loose, okay, because it wobbles, right? Okay,
yeah.
So then we do another exercise, right? And see, right, okay, which one gives you stability in the club head, right? Because that's what the hold's about, right? You want stability in the club head so that it can arrive square. Okay, if the pressures are different, right? Okay, then the club face is either going to end up closed or it's going to end up open, right? Okay, if you sometimes if you're too strong with your hold in terms of pressure, you can leave the club face open. Okay, if you're too strong and you're swinging out to in, it's going to close the club. It's going to go way left, right? So those are things that I build into. Okay, this is what's going to happen in terms of your pressures, right? So because there have to be. That's like what was it? I think it was Jack or Greg Norman. They said that about 80% of errors, okay, come in from hold pressure.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if your pressures change, okay, your lead hand's going to move faster than your trail hand, or your trail hand's going to move faster than your lead hand. Okay, if your trail hand is moving faster, right? Okay, the club face is going to close. If your lead hand's going to move faster, the club face is going to stay open. You have no integrity in club face control.
One of the things that Munz, I know we've been going like almost an hour and 20 minutes here. Hopefully I haven't taken up too much of your time, but there's a lot of time packed. I'm going to treat this as almost like a range session. I'm going to take this information away. I'm going to take some questions or, put together some questions. Then you're not too far. So I'm going to come see you. We're going to do one hopefully in person and kind of check out your space and be able to have a conversation in person. But I one thing that's kind of popped into my mind a few times is almost like a baseball pitcher, right? Like a baseball pitcher can't squeeze the ball in their arm, right? Like they can't
Yeah.
they can't flex as they're throwing the ball. Obviously, it's going to go a lot less fast than if you're completely relaxed and you're allowing like your muscles and everything to work the most efficient way that they can, right? So anybody who's at the major league level, you see kind of like their arm just looks freaky and weird as they're kind of throwing the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to try to find that with the golf swing a little bit. A lot of golfers, right? And we'll just see a lot more through it too. Like some people just have like really, really beautiful swings, like Fred Couples and stuff like that. Obviously, minimal effort, plays minimal effort through 72 holes, and has been, that's one of the most beautiful swings of all time. And like it's just probably never really injured or not much if he has been, right? So it's just the way to kind of limit and have a functional golf swing that works well and strikes the ball properly. Maybe not the longest hitter on the planet, but obviously is hitting in the middle of the face each time, right? But yeah, this is a great chat.
Well, that's exactly where I am. That's where all my systems are designed to get you.
Right.
So again, when I design what I call a neural network system for the individual, it's based on their voice. So voice recognition is one of the key things in terms of nervous system response and in terms of flow. So everyone is designed on signaling the nervous system through their words, right? And so when I do that, I do a little interview, find out what the goals and targets are, what we're working on, what we need to do. Again, when I do a little application, and it's called a NeuroNet app, and I normally say it's the individual and player 54, or change it a little differently. So, but it's really fascinating because when the same relaxation that a baseball player has, a snooker player needs to have that.
Yeah.
A tennis player needs to have that. A hockey player needs to have that also, right? And it's kind of interesting because I worked with ladies football as well, Pittsburgh Passion, right? And we were back-to-back world champions in 2014, 2015. And it's very, very, what I call, we have this about no pain, no gain. And when you go into no pain, no gain, everything stiffens up. So when you're working with an offensive line, and they getting hit, if you are tense, there's a good chance, that you're going to get injured, right? Because your whole body is tense, right? Now we know that almost 90% of drunk drivers, when they have an accident, they have no injuries.
Correct. I think about I think about my friend Curtis explaining. He was. I just want to give you an example. He's a paratrooper, and he said the same thing. So they went through training, and like when he went to North Carolina to do his training, like with their base jump there, like their base jump training, like he was saying that they would have them like physically like work on going like limp essentially and like just hitting the ground. And he was like, you'll kind of take it, you'll be like jarred or whatever, but then like you're probably not going to be injured. You'll just get back up and walk away, right?
Exactly.
And it's something to like that mentally need to work on that, because you might be in a position where you don't have a chute deployed or something like that, or you're going to go into a bad spot. So it's kind of like interesting to take that away from just sports in general and like work on it with different life.
So now you could apply that into golf, right?
Of course.
To the point, where you can move as fast, not injure the body, right? So and long drivers, injury, is huge for them, right? They've got to be able to compete, without injuries. And a lot of, in a lot of sports, they'll say, it's very difficult to play without being injured because you're always pushing your body. There's always some sort of ache or pain, right? And they've got to manage that in order to play. Now, if the ache or pain becomes greater than their ability to direct their play, that's when their performance goes down. I'll give you a great example. I was at Indian Wells 2014. I was going to go and watch tennis, right? Roger was there, Rafa was there, Novak was there, Stan Wawrinka was there as well. And one of my pros at the club that I was working at, she was a tennis pro. She got me tickets, and we sat, behind Roger Federer. And this was really, really cool, right? And we were watching Roger hit tennis balls to Stan. So they were practicing, right? And so she asked me to turn around and face the crowd because we were at the bottom, right? So we turned around and She says, "Can you hear Roger run?" And it was amazing because you know normally when you hit the floor, you hear that. Squeak. Okay, there was so little of it, right? Okay, then we turned around. Okay, she took me to the other side, and we watched, and we did the same thing with Stan, and you hear this, you know, like this force and all the squeaking of the tennis shoes, right? And now you see Roger was so graceful. It was like he was floating on the ground, right? Because there was that total relaxation. He was always just limp. And that's why he could play for so long. Towards the end of his career, okay, he started getting injured, but there were very few injuries in his career. And it was just his ability, because he was so graceful, because that's one of the things you know about Roger, right? Novak is you hear him as well, but Novak is a different specimen altogether. I mean, his ability to control his body, you know, the movement, the way his muscles respond.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really got his skill sets in place, and obviously he's got a good team that you know, watches him and controls what's going on, and he's so self-aware as well, right? So,
well, yeah, there's so many guys like Steph Curry kind of pops into my mind, and like there's so many players who are like just professional athletes who are just, the longevity is in their careers insane. Right? It's so great, and like you talk about like how LeBron he's been injured like a lot, and like load management and stuff in sports, but like he puts so much into working on his, you know, his health and well-being each year, right? And it's just more of a focus, and that's kind of why this conversation was like intriguing, because I feel like we've been having this like conversation about the mental, you know, connection between athletes and stuff like that in the golf swing and stuff lately. So it's kind of cool to do. But Munz, hopefully we're at an hour and a half. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time, but I'd love to. I'd love to chat, man. I'd love to chat and come in and see you, and and have an in-person conversation.
So here's the invitation, Mark. Okay, is to get you out to the facility, and we actually do a session. Okay, where we run through something specific that you want to work with. Okay, and we can give the listeners and the viewers a chance to actually see the process in action.
I would love that.
I would love that. And then for you to experience
lots of things to work on in my swing right now. So that would be great. Yes. I would absolutely love that. So we'll definitely have to plan that maybe before the start of the season. But I know coming up, you're going to be at the Toronto Golf Show, and we're going to have them on the next couple of weeks. So you're still with us at this time. We're going to give away some tickets and stuff again for some of the listeners. So tune in. But Munz, where can if anybody's interested in getting a hold of you, having a chat with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, okay. So I do have my website. Okay, it's www.munzgolfdynamics.com. Okay. My cell number is 647-906-3299. And my email is munz_golf@msn.com.
Okay, so I'm going to link those things down in the show notes below. So if anybody wants to reach out to you and say hello.
Okay, it'd be fun to chat.
Yeah. And then your Instagram handle, I know you're kind of going through some changes and stuff there. So I'll drop that if anybody wants to go over and check it out as well. But Munz, this was great. I really appreciate the time. And this was a conversation, you know, unlike any we've had before, which was really neat. I know Bryce will want to get in touch. So hopefully maybe even the next time Bryce is down, because he's got such an incredible golf swing. He's got so much power. He's such a tall, like lanky guy. He's just got really nice move. That would be like a really good person to get on the camera and kind of talk about his swing and effort and stuff that goes into it. So would love to, man. Would love to. We got to have another chat again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. That was great too.
He's out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.